Hi, my name is Mats Deutschmann, and first of all, I'd like to apologize for not being here today, but unfortunately, um, I was double booked, and it's not really my fault. But all the same, I'd like to contribute to the presentation here by giving a more detailed account of the course activity and the thoughts behind it. So, in this particular course, then, we had as I mentioned, four groups. Now, the different groups then had different course settings, if you like. There was a British group, as I mentioned, from Manchester University, and these were teacher trainees doing a course specifically on online teaching. We had the American group, and they were doing a composition class on cyber culture. The Swedish group that I've already mentioned, they were doing a course on academic writing and academic presentation, an English proficiency course. And then there was also a small group of Italian students who were actually just practicing their English proficiency in some sort of a relevant setting. The challenge was, of course, to find a course structure that appealed and was relevant in terms of motivation for all of these different groups, and finding, if you like, the structures within the activity that would make sense in terms of motives and outcomes for the different groups. So, with this in mind, then, the debating course was designed to appeal to the different groups. And what this diagram here tries to illustrate are the different specific interests of the various groups and how they somehow have been interlinked in the course design. So, for example, then we have the British group who specifically then were interested, obviously, in virtual worlds, online environments, and in the pedagogic issues involved. We have the American group who, because they were doing a composition class on cyberculture, obviously were interested in the aspects of the virtual worlds, but also in text structure, how you structure a text in terms of organization, introduction, getting the message across, etc. We had the Swedish group that I mentioned before, who were again in academic writing presentation course, and they were interested in text structure again, but obviously also in proficiency, being able to use their English in an authentic setting. Similarly, the Italian group were definitely interested in the proficiency aspect, being able to use English in a real way with native speakers, and to a certain extent, I guess, also the pedagogic issues, the issues of learning, since they were actually in the process of trying to improve their English within their normal course framework. Now, when we looked at the task and how it could be relevant, we came to the conclusion that this debating structure would work quite well for various reasons. For one, in the design, we bring these different groups together so that each group, if you like, consists of members from the British group, the American group, the Swedish group, and the Italian group, to the extent that there were enough Italian members, there were only a few. So we have the different, if you like, specialities of the different students included in one group then. We have taken the subject matters into consideration, choosing subjects for the debate which would be relevant particularly to the British group and the American group, where the issues debated are dealing with such things as cyberculture, social life, in-world, education, online, etc., so that the actual topics themselves would be engaging for these two particular groups. Now, when it comes to the structure of the debate and how the students were supposed to structure their speeches, if you like, of course, this was something that did appeal to the Swedish students and was extremely relevant for their course on academic writing, where structure is one of the central themes in such a course. Similarly, it obviously made sense for the American group to be working with text structure. Of course, um, since this was a debate that was going to be a sort of a competition between the group, then the proficiency aspect, being able to deliver a clear message, making yourself heard, things like intonation, voice, etc., became very central to all the groups. And of course, of particular interest then to the Swedish group and the Italian group, who were there to practice their proficiency. So, in this way, then, the task design has been designed in order to keep the different special interests of these different groups in mind. Now, if we look at the course activity in Second Life and how it sort of feeds into the actual programs that these different students are partaking in, we can see that for the different groups, the activity has different significance. For the British group, for example, here, the activity in Second Life particularly then fed into a special project that the students were doing. So the entire process would have been of interest for the British group and the pedagogic issues. For the American group, the activity in Second Life gave extra credits towards their composition class, but also was very relevant in the sense that the students could actually be writing about the particular topics that they were debating in Second Life. For the Swedish students, the oral presentation became the starting point for a written paper, an academic paper that they were supposed to produce. So in this sense, the activity made sense because it prepared them and gave them the background that they needed in order to produce their papers. And for the Italian group, the actual practice, the partaking in these conversations, gave them extra credits towards their proficiency classes. So in this sense, then, we can see that the activity, although it was something that they did together in common, the specific goals for the different students were actually slightly different. So in this sense, then, we've been trying to look at the different structures and the motivational issues behind the activity for the different students and accommodating for that. I'm sure that Judith will give you more details if you need them. Thank you.